Hello, 11th grade. This is U.5 for IXL. Is the sentence simple, compound, complex, or compound, complex? All right. So I'm going to give you a little chart. It's right here. You should have access to this in the resources section of your IXL stuff. All right. Hey, 11th grade. This is U5. Is the sentence simple, compound, complex, or compound, complex on IXL? So here's a chart that I made for you guys. It basically lays out everything that you need to know about different types of sentences. So here we go. The way to identify a simple sentence is to look for just an independent clause. So what you're looking for here is, just like last week, a subject and a predicate, which means a subject and a verb. So all you're looking for is a subject and a verb, and you'll have found your simple sentence. This is a basic sentence that you can say, all right, it's got a subject, it's got a verb, and it doesn't have anything else, and it can stand alone on its own. Then you've got an independent clause. Now, for a compound sentence, you've got a little bit more of an equation to find a compound sentence. So look for one independent clause, it can stand alone. And then look for a conjunction, which is these guys right here, and, but, or, and so. Then you add in an independent clause, another one. So you should have two independent clauses and a conjunction. That's how you're going to find a compound sentence. You know that it is a compound sentence because it has two independent clauses. And compound, an easy way to remember that there are two independent clauses in a compound sentence is they're compounding upon one another. They're building upon one another. It's like a stack of independent clauses, all right? So next we move on to a complex sentence. A complex sentence, it's kind of like, it's complex because it's got two different things mixed in together. It's not just one, so that makes it complex. Two different types of clauses. So here we have the introduction of the dependent clause, which means it needs somebody to lean on. It cannot stand on its own. It needs something else to help it out. So we've got an independent clause, which can stand alone, and a dependent clause, which cannot stand alone. Often the sentence is going to start with these words: after, although, as, because, before, if, since, unless, until, when, and while. So look for those kind of like transition, introduction words at the beginning of these sentences because they are very likely going to be complex. These words give those complex sentences away. Now, the compound complex is just a combination sentence that combines these last two, the compound sentence and the complex sentence. For a compound complex, you're going to want to find two or more independent clauses, so that it's two sentences or two clauses that can stand alone, and one or more dependent clauses. So you only have to have one dependent clause for a compound complex sentence, but you absolutely have to have two, at the very least, independent clauses. Things to look for with the compound complex, you'll notice that this box is empty. Be looking for any of these and any of these. So look for conjunctions, look for these beginning transition words, and you may be looking at a compound complex sentence. Your main look for with the compound complex is those two independent clauses and one dependent clause. So here are some examples. Ben and I spent all day relaxing by the pool. Wow, sounds like a fun day. Ben and I. So these are the nouns that we're dealing with. So I is the subject. And then spent is the verb. And then everything after the verb, well, that's the predicate, if you guys remember from last week. So we've got a subject, and we've got a verb, and we have nothing else, which means that this is a simple sentence. Now, what is our look for a compound sentence? Oh, yeah, right there. And, but, or, so. All right, so this compound sentence, we saw the flash of lightning, that is independent. And seconds later, we heard a rumble of thunder. This is what I like to do for finding compound sentences. Can I look at this by itself and say this makes sense? We saw the flash of lightning. Yep, that makes sense. Seconds later, we heard a rumble of thunder. Does that make sense on its own? Yes, indeed, it does. And it has this lovely little conjunction here, so we know that we are working with a compound sentence, which again is an independent clause, a conjunction, and another independent clause. Now, complex, we're looking for all of these nice little, you guys might know them as transition words or introductory words. You're looking for those guys, and an independent clause and a dependent clause. So, if she ever gets the chance, Terry would love to visit the Egyptian pyramids. All right, so Terry would love to visit the Egyptian pyramids can stand on its own, which means it's independent. And if is one of those introductory words that we were looking out for. If so, we know that we're looking at a dependent clause right here. Therefore, this is a complex sentence. Now, compound complex. After Samantha left work, she stopped at the bank and then she went to the gym. All right, so here we have after Samantha left work. All right, and what? We don't know what else happened after that, so it could not stand alone, which means it is a dependent clause. It needs something to lean on. She stopped at the bank. Okay, well, you could say that by itself. That could be an independent clause. And then she went to the gym. That could also stand on its own. That means it is independent. And look, we've got this conjunction right here, joining those two together, making this a compound complex sentence.